What's up, guys? So, over quarantine, I haven't been working like at all. I haven't really been able to. So, I've been doing a lot of organizing over Facebook. And that's a lot different from like the real life experience because like say you're at a Black Lives Matter protest, you're actually not just going to be around leftists. You're going to be around in some cases even conservatives, right-wing libertarians, liberals, anarchists, Marxists, Leninists. They're going to be a lot of different people. But with online spaces, you end up getting into a certain crowd where it's all just specifically people with mostly those same views. And then in a way, it's like a condensing, like it's like the left is condensed into these different isolated pages. And sometimes the problem with that is that you feel like you're walking on eggshells talking to these people. Like, even if you're saying something that's a very, like, stereotypical, yeah, no one's really going to disagree with it. Sure enough, a lot of times people will disagree with you. And in some ways that's good because you want your movement to have attainable goals and everyone's on the same page. In other ways, that's not good because it isn't really solidarity if you're constantly attacking each other and then you see conservatives and libertarians and fascists all getting along, and then on the left where like even people with the same exact views as us are not getting along over silly little things. A lot of times it ends up being. So I had a conversation with people on Facebook that I think is a good example of this. So someone posted this meme. Hey man, good to see you. You too, what's up? I'm good, bro. I was just on my way to grab lunch, and geez, here comes the leftist meme. And then, of course, it's this thing we've all seen where it's just a wall of text, and if you zoom in, it's usually like Ben Shapiro saying something dumb over and over again. So he says, what is he saying? The other guy says, it's literally an essay. I can't read it, bro. And so that's obviously an attack on leftist memes, thinking that they are too long and that we need things that are short and punchy and to the point. My problem with this is that there actually are a shitload of leftist memes that are short and punchy and to the point. But, and that works to recruit some people. For other people, they actually do want a little bit more context. Because just posting something like liberals get the wall too and hammer and sickle, there's a lot of people that's not going to work on. So I said, imagine believing that admitting you have poor literacy or bad attention span is a good argument. And I didn't really think anyone, I thought, okay, people with ADHD might have a problem with this comment, but I figured people would get what I'm trying to say and that not that many people would see it anyways. But sure enough, here comes the crowd. Yes, because good praxis involves shunning people with deficits I don't have. The true proles can read as many text wall memes as the revolution requires. What the fuck? So there's kind of a distinction between people that are like more theory-based anarchists and people that are like internet native leftists. Like I have a roommate that says that he got into leftism through following a communist meme page when he was 16. I got into leftism through reading about it in school and outside research. That's how I mostly got into it, and then YouTube videos help. But for me personally, I needed the context. I needed to know about, okay, George Orwell was against authoritarian communists, but he was also against capitalism and fascism, and he was actually democratic socialist with some anarchist syndicalist tendencies. That kind of stuff brought me over to leftism. And reading The Dispossessed by Ursula K. Le Guin, that brought me over to leftism, having this whole entire utopia ideal. But catchy meme slogans did not do it for me. In fact, memes did not influence my political opinions because I saw them as just memes. Like, to mention Orwell again, in 1984, when you have, yet at one point he's talking about how when people are repeating party slogans, they sound like a sheep bleating things. So in a sense, I was turned off by, I kind of emphasized with that a little bit, and I was turned off by movements where it just felt like people were we're repeating the same thing over and over again and not really thinking about it. In some ways, though, that is great. Like Black Lives Matter, defund the police. Those are catchy slogans that are debatable how much they actually work, but at least it's words that we can get behind. Now, of course, another person, yeah, that's right, because fuck the neurodivergence, right? I mean, it's not like it's the person's responsibility that is presenting to connect with the audience or anything. But yeah, fuck neurodivergence and perhaps those that weren't fortunate enough to receive the same education you did. Thankfully, someone actually defended me a little bit, saying literally nobody said fuck people with disabilities, just that I can't read long thing isn't an argument, which it isn't. That's the thing that's kind of funny about the left, is that we stick up for the little guy. So if we see people with ADD and learning disabilities as the little guy, we stick up for them. But on the other hand, a lot of us are also book nerds, bookworms, and we like to distinguish ourselves from the right for being more intelligent. And then there's people on the left that are going to say, well, even you saying that you're more intelligent, that's attacking people in the left that aren't as intelligent. And to go a level deeper, that's offensive too, because now you're saying that people with ADD aren't as intelligent as you. So it's just a mess, and it sucks that we can't even really say something like we have a better grasp of theory or we read more than conservatives, because now we're offending people on the left that don't look at memes if they're more than 2 lines of text. So somebody said, I have ADHD and I will 100% scroll by any meme or post that's paragraphs long. My mind gets overwhelmed, but yeah, fuck me and my bad attention span. So see, it's hard to say anything in the left without worrying about triggering someone, and I think that sucks. Like, I don't want to trigger anyone with ADD, but I also think that when there's that viral video of the DSA saying some things that were cringeworthy according to a lot of people. One of the things that happened at the DSA conference is the speaker said, we have many comrades that are mentally disabled. That it's good to recognize those people, but in a certain respect it's not, because you're giving fuel to the other side. So now there's a lot of conservative memes where it's like, look, here's the left admitting that their comrades are mentally disabled. So I think we need to stick up for people that are neurodivergent or have ADD. But also, if somebody says, hey, we're smarter than the right, and then people are being like, whoa, wait, that's rude to people that have ADD. Now you're almost calling those people with ADD dumb. So it's really just a fucking mess right now, and I wish we had more solidarity. Thankfully, this person said the OP meme is arguing that leftists are wrong about stuff because we are supposedly long-winded. Andy here pointed out that I can't read that is not a valid argument, which it literally isn't. No one is trying to avoid accessibility or exclude anyone but right-wingers. I'm disabled and struggle with attention span and information processing. I'm well aware of accessibility issues concerning length and stuff like that. You don't need to explain them. Okay, great. So at least we're on board there. This person said, not everybody has the fucking desire to waste their very precious time on earth reading text walls online. And so people were saying this a lot. The only problem with that is that these people were online reading these huge walls of text that other people are posting. Everyone was in this massive thread arguing about something I said that I thought would be non-controversial. So you have these people online reading these walls of text and then saying, but a lot of other people don't do that. And that's fine, but yet here we are isolated in our space on the left, arguing about people with ADD. And the thing is it's good to have these conversations and get more pure, but the side that's winning right now are the conservatives and the fascists and the libertarians, and they're not having these arguments because they think that it's petty. And of course we're better than them, because then we don't end up drifting into eugenics or hate speech or anything like that. But a lot of times this like self-reliance on purity tests is really slowing us down. Like this person said, I'm gay, I'm literally illiterate. All right, that's cool, but you being gay has nothing to do with the argument. Like, I was talking to someone the other day on Facebook, everyone was having a conversation, somebody said, Somebody replied and said that they're a queer indigenous person, and that had absolutely nothing to do with any of the points that were making. And this was like the person that was dissenting the argument, and they thought that would shut down the argument. Well, actually, I'm queer and I'm indigenous, so what I'm saying is right. Sometimes that ethos comes into play when we're talking about arguments that are relevant to it. People will be like, oh, that's not your lane, that's my lane. And sometimes that's effective, sometimes it's not. But that's the problem with the left right now, is that this reliance on identity politics. Like, oh, your identity is of an oppressed class, therefore what you say goes. And that's hurtful to us right now, because a lot of these conservative, libertarian, fascist types that we're kind of fighting right now, we actually need a lot of them to come over to our side. And people don't like it when I say that, because they think that I want people to meet them in the middle or something like that. I don't. It's just, I know that if you look at the Spanish Civil War, a lot of the people that were fascists were de facto fascists. They just didn't understand the socialist and anarchist side, or even if they did, they still fought for the fascists because they felt like they had to for Franco. And I know it's kind of funny to make that comparison today with Trump supporters, but it is true, though, that at the Spanish Civil War, the anarchists would have actually won if A, they had better weapons, and B, even if they didn't have better weapons, if they had more people. So the anarchists knew that, hey, a dead fascist is a good thing, but what's the only thing that's better than a dead fascist? It's a fascist who comes over to our side and then is actually fighting fighting with us, fighting on our team. So this is what I said to everything, and I mean, this is like crazy. Like, a bunch of people were screaming at me over this, but I said memes work to draw a lot of people, but theory is always going to be relevant to the left. There's always going to be people that check out books when they want to learn more in depth about something, and there are people that will not read a meme with multiple lines of text. But there's also going to be people that need more context to understand the concept. Memes that just say liberals get the wall too are only going to take us so far. And of course, after I said that, then everyone was like, I don't know, just done with the conversation or whatever. But it is frustrating under COVID. I'm used to having conversations with people in real life, like at universities and at meetups, and over Facebook, it's like even way more condensed than it is in real life. I've actually noticed that people don't really get offended when I talk to them. It's like really hard for me to offend someone. But then online, it's like one thing you say and it's like, oh, okay, now this person's gonna woke scold me. And this is ridiculous, because we're woke scolding our own group. And yeah, sometimes that's good, because sometimes people need to be educated about, maybe it's post-colonial literature or whatever it is, but a lot of times it's just like about words that people are using. Like if somebody says, oh, the libertarians with guns are all crazy, thinking that the liberals are Marxists that are trying to take over the world. And then someone would say, well, hey, as someone that has psychosis, I get offended when you use the word crazy. But in a certain aspect, that's actually not good to make that argument, because now you're saying that people with psychosis are crazy, and you're lumping him in. Just like when somebody says, like I personally do not use the word retard. I don't think it's a good word to use. But when somebody says that word, I don't woke scold them over it. I just kind of ignore it. I gloss over it, because usually other people talk to them about it anyways. But sometimes it's kind of hard watching people do that, because they'll say, don't use the word retard. That's rude to mentally challenged people. But now by you saying that, you're grouping in mentally challenged people under this banner of retard. So that's just my personal take on it, and I know it's a little bit offensive. Like I said, I still don't use that word. I think that word should be phased out and not used. But I think that words like stupid and crazy, use those words. And also the point goes for that too. If you're saying oh, that movement is so stupid, fuck those guys. And then someone else says, whoa, man, I like the fact that you're on our team and everything, but the fact that you're saying stupid is just kind of problematic, sweetie, because that's rude to mentally challenged people. Now you're calling mentally challenged people stupid. And I've seen that happen, and it's just like people are going so woke that now they're like unwoke. So somebody said, right-wing meme, Nibba Trump against communist 2020, I identify as a Pinochet helicopter, bottom text LMAO. That's true. That's true. That's a lot of right-wing memes. Someone else said, don't be a racist piece of shit. That would be the leftist meme. And then a conservative would respond with, too many words I didn't read. So yeah, I've seen this happen where somebody posted a meme that was 3 lines of text, and then people said, this is a shitty meme, this is way too many words. So what's going on? Because it's kind of funny how the left will like obsess over Das Capital, but then a lot of those same people will also be like, that meme is too wordy, that's bad praxis, bro. But on the ADD point, I wanted to bring up this quote that I'm sure most people are familiar with, but it's a quote from Capitalist Realism by Mark Fisher. The current ruling ontology denies any possibility of a social causation of mental illness. The chemical biologization of mental illness is, of course, strictly commensurate with its depoliticization. Considering mental illness an individual chemical biological problem has enormous benefits for capitalism. First, it reinforces capital's drive towards atomistic individualization. So basically a symptom of neoliberalism. You are sick because of your brain chemistry. Second, it provides an enormously lucrative market in which multinational pharmaceutical companies can peddle their pharmaceuticals. We can cure you with our SSRIs. It goes without saying that all mental illnesses are neurologically instantiated, but this says nothing about their causation. If it is true, for instance, that depression is constituted by low serotonin levels, what still needs to be explained is why particular individuals have low levels of serotonin. This requires a social and political explanation, and the task of repoliticizing mental illness is an urgent one if the left wants to challenge capitalist realism. So I love this quote. I think this is a great book. I actually don't even have it right now because I lent it out to my friend because I think it's awesome and everyone should read it. But I think that this is intrinsically intertwined. The point I'm trying to come across is that somebody says, okay, if saying that you have ADD isn't a good argument. That was just a joke I was making. I didn't mean to offend anyone, but a lot of people got offended and said, hey, I have ADD and I want to be a comrade too or whatever. Okay, fine, that's cool, but that's join our team then. That's of no concern to me if you have ADD or not. I'm not trying to offend comrades. But even just by saying that, they're almost trying to like put it on their individual level. Like, hey, I'm offended. I personally am offended because I personally have ADD and you're personally offending my personal cognitive abilities. Now, the reason why that's a problem is that there's this awesome lane that we can go in when we're saying, yeah, ADD is a problem. People with ADD, you can classify them as a marginalized class. I personally think that a millionaire's son, who has cognitive problems because of their fast lifestyle, I'm not gonna consider them a marginalized class. But yeah, sure, if there's someone who's a leftist that maybe they have ADD because of they didn't have good access to education, or even if they just played video games as a child, whatever, it's fine. It's fine to say they're a marginalized class because they struggle with academia that other people don't struggle with. So that's fine, but you're individualizing it, which is the problem with neoliberalism, is seeing us all as just individual economic actors. And what Mark Fisher is doing is he's saying, well, there is a chance that late stage capitalism is actually causing these mental problems. And it's funny how the left tends to be against big transnational corporations, but I've seen people that claim to be super left wing, and then their bio It literally says that they're a proud big pharma and Monsanto shill. So some people are like very proud of this whole like, oh, I have a mental problem, but my doctor prescribed me something that helps and it's awesome. And they're very against like the homeopathic way to cure things. Like they get like if someone was to say, oh, you're depressed, you just need to make sure you actually cook fresh food, no fast food, eat healthy, work out, try to get back into the dating game. And they get offended by that. And I can totally see why. But there's also another argument to make that it's a societal thing, that it has to do with worker alienation. That would be the Marxist approach here. Wealth inequality. So I think this quote by Mark Fisher is absolutely fucking great, in that we all need to understand that when we just act like, oh, this person has anxiety, so they need Xanax, that's not always the best route to go. And I would always defend people in their personal choices and their doctor choices. But we also have to realize that a lot of these doctors are they're technically not bribed to prescribe medication, but they will be taken on cruise ship, what do they call it? They call it conferences, and they're given like 5-star meals. But these retreats will be sponsored by the big pharmaceutical companies. There's also doctors that have said that, yeah, they're at their clinics, there's basically always a representative. So a salesperson from a pharmaceutical company will always stop in and buy everyone their food, ask, what do you want to eat for lunch, and then go out and get it. And it's basically like a nudge. Hey, keep prescribing that Xanax. In fact, there was even a checklist for one of these retreats where it was, if you prescribed so many of these prescriptions, then you got an updated package with massages. So the left is usually against corruption, but since we're seeing people with mental conditions as a marginalized group, we're protecting them, and in protecting them, we're protecting the narrative reinforced by the big pharma. So people might call me a class reductionist or a conspiracy theorist for saying that. That's just my take. And I, as well as Mark Fisher, admit that there's no denying that it is an individual problem, in the sense that it does come down to individual brain chemistry. But what we're saying is, what is causing this brain chemistry? Because it still deals with the nature versus nurture argument. And the nurture argument is going to say that when you have a rapport build with a lot of different people, aka a community, you're going to have more healthy levels of serotonin and dopamine. So we need to work on fostering communities, and this whole atomization of neoliberalism is a problem. But when we're keep on defending people with ADD, it's like, hey, dude, I get it that you have ADD, but the problem is a lot of other people have ADD as well. And a lot of times it's undiagnosed. And a lot of what it deals with is, and I don't want to offend people that believe that they are, maybe they have ADD and there's no way that they can cure it. It's something that they either were born with, or something that was hammered in them in childhood by having too much TV and not enough reading. I'm not sure exactly how it works, but for everyone else, it's like a lot of people that do not technically have ADD still have a form of it, in the sense that we're more plugged in to Wi-Fi all the time. And if you read constantly, you're used to, okay, what I'm going to do for this week, this month, whatever it is, it's all going to be about this book. Now, online, it's just meme after meme after meme, notification after notification, each little thing giving you another little bit of a dopamine buzz. So that is actually a driver for ADD. And a driver for anxiety is going to be that you as soon as you wake up, you have to shit, shave, shower, and get to work, and you probably don't have enough time for morning cigarette and breakfast. Maybe you don't have enough time for either one. So I'm not trying to say that like people with that are neurodivergents are just making shit up. That's not the case. And I think a lot of these people actually are going to have brain chemistry that's different from us. And you can call it a marginalized class if you want. That's fine with me. But that we do need to start looking at it as a social dilemma for some cases, because this narrative is really just reinforcing the capitalist narrative, the neoliberal narrative, that you can just treat everything with a pill. And you could have a society where like there's actually parts of Japan and China that are like this, where a lot of people are not getting married because they want to work and they believe that having a family would slow them down. So they're not getting married and they're actually doing meth. So there's people that will do meth in the morning so they can work in the factory, and they say, yeah, it makes it so I don't need to eat as much and I can work and I don't get as tired. And we're looking at these amphetamines in the ADD medication is similar to meth. It's a lot different, but for some of these people, if you take the Adderall, it works as a stimulant. For other people, it works. The people that actually have ADD, it's going to be a downer. But it's hard. It's really hard to tell, because if you were to take ADD and it acts on you as a stimulant, there's a good chance your doctor would still just let you be prescribed to it because it might still help. And that's great, but I don't want to live in a society where things are so bad that we all need to take Adderall or Xanax just to get at this baseline level of motivation and relaxation and actually being able to participate. I would prefer it if we have those options for people that need it, and it should be a personal choice too. I get it. Some people, maybe they operate better with Adderall. They should have that choice to do it. But I don't want that to be the de facto response. I think that we also need to have a critique on big pharma and looking at what's actually going on with society that is causing these spikes in depression and anxiety.